I'm about to take my almost daily walk through the garden, and there's a lot of food that I need to harvest in here, and I want to take you all on a tour of everything as well and talk about what I've been doing over these past couple weeks. So I figured I would combine it all into one video and talk about everything while I'm harvesting. So the garden is thriving right now, and I'm getting food out of here pretty much every day. So I've been working hard at preserving all of it. I made some salsa and pasta sauce the other day, and I'm growing my own herbs now, and everything was just so fresh. It's so good. It made all of the hours that I put in out here worth it, and it's really something that you can't get from the store. So fresh, so full of flavor, no preservatives, none of that stuff. So yeah, it's been awesome out here. Above my greenhouse, this is all potatoes. That's gonna be harvested in a few days. They started dying back, but they still have a little bit of time left. I have so many potatoes I'm gonna be harvesting. Like, I've gotten a lot of food out of here already, and I'm still kind of in the stage where it's the calm before the storm, because I'm gonna be getting, I don't know, I think thousands of pounds of potatoes. I'm gonna weigh it all. I'm gonna try to get an actual number on here to see how much I get out of the seed potatoes I put in. Also, all this corn behind me is gonna be coming in soon. Once I harvest these, I'm gonna try to store it for my chickens, some of it, and then I'm gonna try to make my own tortillas for the rest of it. I pretty much only eat Mexican food is what I'm realizing. I want salsa and I eat fajitas every night. I'm gonna try to make my own tortilla shells and make some venison tacos. Those are my staple meal. And right now it's hard to eat salsa or fajitas because I need like the shells or tortilla chips, and I get those from the store. So hopefully I can turn these corn into my own tortillas and live off the land even more. But yeah, and then my greenhouse is here. I just made a video about how my greenhouse was taken over by wasps. This thing was pretty much taken over by wasps until a few days ago when I had to buy a bee suit because I couldn't really think of a better way to get them out of here. But I got a bee suit, I got them all knocked down in there, and I was able to get in there and harvest the first batch of peppers out of there. So I got a bunch of sweet peppers and some California Wonder bell peppers. And it took me a while to get all these beds built in here this year. So the second crop of pepper plants is a little bit behind the ones that I just harvested. And these are all King of the North bell peppers coming up. So I'm gonna be getting a ton of those real soon. And then my A-frame here is an absolute jungle. I put some indeterminate varieties of tomatoes in here, and they just absolutely took over the backside of this greenhouse. Like, there's a lot of pepper plants in here, and some of them are completely covered by tomatoes. Like, I couldn't even dig my way down to find them back there. So I think those are a lost cause, but I'm getting a ton of tomatoes out of here at least. And I still have a lot of healthy pepper plants in here. So I'm getting some peppers out of here already. And I'm gonna be getting a lot more of the bell peppers here soon. Same thing with my twin wall panel. And I'm probably just gonna devote my greenhouses to peppers because they're a lot easier to manage. They don't take up too much space, and I love peppers more than anything. And I have a lot better tomato trellising systems outside. But it'll be interesting to see how long these peppers can keep producing in these greenhouses. It's really hot and humid in there. I'm afraid to even walk in there right now with how much I'm sweating just being outside. But these plants are absolutely thriving in here, and they're literally growing out the back vent of this greenhouse. Like, it's putting on, there's tomatoes outside of the vent right here. It's crazy. And then behind the A-frame, I have this trellis, and I've gotten a lot of red curry and spaghetti squash off of here. Then there's a few slicer tomato plants over here that I've gotten a lot of fruit off of. And then on my other side of my two greenhouses, I have all my raised beds back here. And I'm about to get in here and harvest some carrots. There's a ton of beans I'm gonna pick right now. I'm actually gonna put the camera down and really focus on getting all these harvested because we have so many beans in here. And I have squash growing through all of the space in between the beds this year, and I'm really glad I did that. I planted squash on the very corners of the beds and let them kind of crawl out onto the wood chips that I have in between all the beds, and all of this space is being utilized now. And there's a ton of spaghetti squash ready to go. There's a lot of butternut squash that are going to be ready really soon, and I really wanted to focus on squash this year because of how long they store. And so far I'm really happy that I set everything up this way. But yeah, I'm going to go harvest all these beans. There's a lot of carrots that are ready. I spaced them out a lot this time around, so I want to see if that made them any bigger. Well, I think spacing them out's the way to go. I have so many tomato plants in here, it's a struggle to keep up with them. There's ones that are ripening every day. Oh, and there's onions. I got to go harvest the rest of these onions. That's awesome. Yeah, this onion bed got taken over by weeds, but they're all ready to be taken out of here. So let's go see how big these onions are. On my second half of the garden here, in between my tomatoes and my corn over there, I have all of these are potatoes. It's hard to see all the raised beds that are in here because they're so overgrown, but there's a lot of potatoes in here that I'm gonna be harvesting very soon. Like I said, I'm gonna have, I think, over 1,000 pounds. We'll see. I don't want to commit to any number until I actually start getting into the ground and seeing what it looks like. I don't want to keep buying seed potatoes every year, so hopefully I can actually start a self-sustaining process here. But after the potatoes, I have our mega bed right here. It's a 40-foot long raised bed that we built using logs, and then we built this log trellising system, and this is all tomatoes, and there's 2 peppers in the back. This is where a majority of my tomatoes have come from so far. It's all Romas and some San Marzanos, and there's 1 beefsteak in the back, but this is where a lot of my preserving tomatoes have came from. And then on the other side of Megabed, corn, I'm standing in the corn right now. There's sunflowers planted behind that, and then there's a sorghum patch and a millet patch and a bunch of sunflowers mixed in through the rest of that. And then in the very back, there's a bunch more tomatoes. And I'm really excited to start processing a lot of these sunflowers and the corn and see how much chicken feed we can get put up for the year. It would be really cool to start putting a dent into our chicken feed bill. So hopefully I can kind of be completely self-sufficient here and take care of all of my animals with food from my own land. But yeah, there's a ton of sunflowers planted throughout this entire garden area, and that is something that we really focused on this year compared to other years. Like, we didn't have any flowers or that many sunflowers anywhere in the past, and that's something that we changed this year, and it's awesome. I also have this wildflower patch. We just decided to turn all of this into wildflowers, and they just started blooming. I haven't came out into the garden once in the past at least month, maybe 2 months, somewhere in there, and not seen just a huge amount of pollinators everywhere, butterflies and bees everywhere all throughout this entire garden. And this wildflower patch is perennial, should be back every year, and we've had some issues with lack of pollination in the past, or at least it seemed like it, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be an issue anymore. I just took all of those carrots inside to get them out of the heat, and I'm gonna run inside and get them processed so I can get that harvesting bin back out here and grab all the tomatoes out here. All right, so it's the next day. I got all of the onions harvested last night and got them curing. It was just too hot to do anything else. It was like 95 when I was recording the video. I was sweating just walking around, but I'm not built for that sort of weather. But today, my mom's here. She wants to help me harvest some stuff. I missed some tomatoes yesterday, so we're gonna get some more of those, and then there's a bunch of beans I'm gonna get. But yeah, we're getting a crazy amount of food every day out of the garden. Come here. Oh, you too, buddy. Oh, I know. Oh, you got a little pepper. Next to the garden are my 3 ewe lambs. Hi, babies. Hi. Hi. They live a pretty pampered life, I would say. They have plenty of room in here. Just munch on grass all day. It's crazy how little of work they are on my end. Like, I don't really have to do anything for them. I fill up their water every once in a while. They have a shelter and they just hang out in here eating away. Now the other side of the sheep is my food forest. I've already gotten a bunch of apples off here this year. I have a lot more coming in. The grapes are just starting to ripen up. I have all of my chickens in here full time. I also got a ton of raspberries this year, so I got to get back in here and get those pruned. But I have all my chickens in here, and we also planted some crimson clover throughout this whole area, and both of those things combined for adding a ton of nitrogen. And I think all these trees have responded really well to what we're doing here. Last year they did not look nearly as healthy as they do now, and they've grown a ton this year, and all of the fruit is healthier. Haven't had any diseases or anything like that, so I'm very happy with what's going on here. Oh, we got a plum. Look at that. That's crazy. But yeah, all these raspberries behind me, they were producing a ton of fruit, and I was out here pretty much every day for breakfast or lunch harvesting like multiple handfuls, and I have a ton in the freezer, so these raspberries did really well this year. But yeah, all these trees are looking really healthy. There's a ton of apples that are going to be ready really soon, and all of the grapes are just starting to ripen up here. Oh wow. Yeah, I'm gonna start harvesting these. I think grapes, so far from my experience, are the fruit that has the biggest difference between what you're going to buy in the store, or at least what I think of what I would be able to buy in a grocery store versus what it tastes like when you grow it yourself. Like a grape concentrate you would have in like a really cheap like sugar candy or gum or something like that. It's crazy. Wow, look at that. Fresh fruit is tough to beat. That's awesome. So there's tons of pollinators like all the way through my entire garden into my food forest constantly. So all the sheep got in here somehow. How did that happen? And the last stop on the tour is my blueberry patch in the middle of the woods, and this is also where I keep my meat birds, and I run them in between my blueberries on the grass here, and it's a good system. They keep the grass down for me. I get some protein out of the deal, and they help the blueberries. The blueberries are still young, couple years old now, but I'm already starting to get a decent amount of berries. Like I was getting a handful for a while, pretty much every day. Like I'd come over here and eat a bunch when I would feed them, but nothing substantial or any that I have to like preserve or anything like that. That's probably in the next year. Hopefully in the next couple years we can start getting a lot, and I can start actually putting a lot in the freezer, because blueberries are my favorite food. And I still have a lot of things that I want to get done in the fall over here. We just logged our property. I'm going to make a full video about this entire process in the next week. But back there I got a lot of space cleared with the trees, so I want to expand my fence. Like this whole space is going to be almost doubled in size. I'm going to start trying to propagate all these bushes or get a few cuttings and try to fill in the new space that I fence in with all of the cutting, or with some propagating from these blueberries and some of the honeyberries in my orchard and a couple other things. I also want to plant some more raspberries back here. So yeah, a lot of plans that I want to get done this year. I want to get them in the ground, get everything planted before winter hits. And I want to come back through and get everything cleaned up, like all of these bushes. Yeah, there's still a lot I want to get done. I want to come through and clean all this up, weed all the grass, or pull all the grass out of here if any of the berries have a bunch of stuff growing around it to get the pressure off them. And then I want to put a fresh layer of mulch around everything. But yeah, all of the work that I've put into this place over the past year, a little over a year now, is already starting to pay off in big ways. And everything is really starting to be set up for the future. I don't think I'm close to self-sufficient yet, but I'm getting to the point where the vast majority of my meals are from the garden and from the woods around me and directly from my land. And once I get these birds harvested, my lambs, and we hunt, I'm gonna start hunting here. The season opens up in a little over a month from now. So we're gonna get the freezer filled up. We're gonna get all those potatoes and squash and everything else put away in the pantry. And then I have a bunch of stuff I'm gonna be canning. So I'm gonna be putting up a lot of food, and I still have a lot of projects that I'm gonna be doing both for this year and in the long term. So I hope you follow along.